consciousness is form and form is consciousness. But form is not only visual, form is the structure of the frequency. So everything has a consciousness. Everything. Now, some of these consciousnesses exist by themselves. For example, jade has a consciousness of itself because all of the jade stones vibrate in the same range. But there are also things that we create. So, for example, everything that we create is an amulet. But if we don't know that it's an amulet, then we are bad magicians. However, if whatever you create, you know it's an amulet, you know it has some of your energy, and you know how the energy of the different forms that you've used it come to create the particular vibration of this object, and if you come to name it and recall it, you deal with it as if it was alive. And this is the truth. It's very important for people in the spiritual path to abandon the distinction of dead and alive when it corresponds to consciousness. It's better to say that everything is alive, for everything is consciousness, and consciousness is life. That is the truth. Consciousness is life. Because as soon as we say that life is life and death is death, we can't believe that consciousness exists after dying, and that brings a lot of problems. So in truth, life is consciousness. So in the shamanic path and the mystical adventure of our life, to anyone who is called into this path, I really recommend establishing a connection with everything by speaking to it mentally. Prayer is to speak to someone inside their minds. So prayer, the utmost prayer, is to speak to God or the divinity, And I point to the sky because the sky has no center, just like the heart. But when we do God is here, we can also be confused in saying, oh, I am God, right? When in fact, sky is also here. So if we establish a connection with things by speaking to them, we also develop a connection by which we can hear them. If you speak to plants, they will know you. And eventually they will speak to you, and you will know them. But if you don't speak to plants, they will not know you, you will not know them, and you always fear what you don't know. So it's important mentally to speak to things and to develop a connection with things, even with our own car, to name our car and to have a relationship with a car, and you'll find out that your car begins to have a spirit. And this spirit, of course, it's a familiar, right? It is related to your own energy. It's not something that God created, so to speak. It's not a soul in the transmigration wheel, but it is a familiar, because all the times that you've ridden your car and the times that you've spoken to your car have generated somewhat of a mirror self of the time that you have spent speaking to it and the conditions of the form that the car inhabits, and that is the car's consciousness. And the more we take things to exist in this manner, the less we come to believe in death, the more we come to understand that consciousness is life, and that there is not one square millimeter of this divine garden of creation that is not birthing and exuberant all the time with life. Not even 1 square millimeter is not giving birth to exuberant life at all times.